Hi, welcome to TOEFL Writing 26 Plus Class 2. As you can see, this is our second class for integrated writing, and this is also will be the last class for integrated writing, which is Task 1 writing. In this class, we will have a focus on teaching you advanced template B and C and with more writing practices. Also, in this class, language training will be included, and assignment will also be given. Let's move on. Here is an overview of today's class schedule. We will use 10 minutes to talk about something more about note-taking, and then we will provide an assignment review for Class 1 here as an example to explain more things about note-taking, and it is also a good opportunity for you to get more practice. And then we will teach you advanced template B and C, and next we will have more writing practices. At the end of this class, we will have the language building section. Let's start with things about note-taking. So there is an important thing I should mention here is that when you are taking notes, you should always try to shorten words, because during the test, the time might be very limited. So I suggest you to try to practice your notes and try to shorten the words you use, because you need to save time while taking notes in a quick way. You need to use fewer words but capture as much information as you can. I mean the important information. You don't have to capture all the information, but try to capture the key information. So when you are shortening words, there are two ways. First is shorten the vocabularies. For instance, there is a department. You can just use characters like DPT to represent department. So as long as you can remember those shortened words, that's good. So when you mention people, you can just use people like this. Another way to shorten words and take notes in a quick way is just to use symbols. You can create your own symbols. Here I listed a couple of symbols that you might want to use when you are taking notes. So you can spend some time with those symbols and try to practice when you are taking notes. But it is definitely okay when you create your own symbols. So let's take a look at the symbol. So when you mean increase or improvement, you can always use those kind of arrow sign, or there's decrease, or there's a cause and effect. You can use a line to connect them. So I suggest you to practice more. Taking notes might seem to be difficult. However, taking notes for writing is really easy. So the key is getting more practice. So I suggest you, if you have time, always listen to some listening material and try to take notes. Also, note taking is very important for your listening section. So if you have time, try your best to get more practice. Now let's move on to talk another important concept during note taking, which is signal words. On the picture on the right side, there are several signal words included in the picture. Let's take a look. Signal words can be like so, or as a result. Those are conclusion signal words. So usually conclusion will be given after the speaker mentions so, or as a result, or consequently, in conclusion. And there are some other signal words like okay. That means the speaker is going to end his previous conversation and start something new. So new information might be given. We call this signal words a transition signal word. Also, transition signal word can be but. However, that all means the speaker is going to move on to a different aspect of his speech. Some signal words might be, for example, those are the signal words for examples. Signal words can help you understand the organization of a talk because you can understand the structure by identifying those transition signal words. And also signal words can help you understand the connections between ideas. Sometimes the professor makes a transition or the professor switched to a different topic. You can still follow because there will be signal words there. And also the importance of ideas. Sometimes there are signal words that shows an emphasis on certain kind of idea, such as particularly or most importantly. So you can understand the importance of ideas. Signal words are important because they actually will guide you when you are taking notes. They will tell you when to take notes and what information you should capture. I will use the assignment for class 1 as an example in our later slides to discuss more about signal words. Now let's spend some time to take a look at the 10 things that should be included when you are taking notes. And this 10 things strategy also applies to listening notes you take during the listening section. First, you should always try to capture the topic and the main idea words. So, for instance, when you are taking notes for the reading passage, you should capture the main idea or the main topic of the reading passage for writing tasks. During the listening section, you will always hear the professor start a lecture like, today I will be talk about something. That means the professor is giving the topic of that class. So that's why it is very important for you to capture the main ideas. And then you should always try to capture the definition, because the professor is very likely to explain something when he talks. So he might use words like, what I mean is, something is referred as that. You should always try to capture that. When you hear those type of signal words, try to stay focused and be prepared to capture the definition of certain kind of terms. Also, capture example is important. Examples are always used by professors or speakers when they are trying to explain something or try to provide more details about something. So you should always try to capture example, and it is not difficult to capture example because the speaker will always say words like, for instance, for example, take an example, or consider some kind of situation. So those are the signal words for example. And then emphasize. Emphasize is very important in lectures because that means the professor wants you to remember something. So the professor will always use things like especially, remember, most importantly, or he or she might mention some feature, like remarkable features of some kind of product. So, and the purpose of a research or the important theory they discover after they conduct some research. And the speaker might also use words like most, first, last, majority, or above all. Something is very important, so above all. So, and also when the speaker wants to emphasize something, he might change his voice. He might start to speak much more slowly or using a deeper voice, or put a lot of stress when he speaks. So pay attention when you hear the speaker is changing his voice or tone. Next, contrast. When a comparison is made in a listening material, you should pay attention and capture that. So comparison between two things usually are used to explain like in a further way or a deeper way about those two things. So the professor might compare like A and B are different. They are alike or similar to. A and B might be similar or they alike each other. Or the professor might use the word on the other hand. Also, categorize the information in your notes. Here is an example of categorized information. We gather data in a variety of ways. descriptive, experimental, and observational. So those three things are three ways people use to categorize data or gather data. So you can put those three categorized words horizontally. Always list the categorized information horizontally, because the professor might going to provide more information and more detail about each of this category. So more information will be built underneath each category. If you take the name of those categories horizontally, you can easily add information underneath each category. And then cause and effect. The professor might mention a cause of some kind of phenomena in the lecture, and then he will give the effect. So you should capture those cause and effect relationship. Like because of, due to, those are signal words for cause and effect. Also, transition. As I said, when the speaker is going to make a transition, that means he is going to move on to a different aspect of his speech. So new information will be given after transition. So pay attention to transition. The transition words can be but, however, while, unless, except for, in fact, or to tell you the truth. Similar to emphasize, when the speaker gives a transition, his voice might also change. Next, try to capture process when you are taking notes. Process might be given in lecture format listening materials. It's more common to hear the process. So the development process, formation process, or evolution process might be given. The process follows a certain steps. There might be first step, second step, third step, and then always try to capture the process. The last type is conclusion. You should capture conclusion in your notes. However, it is not difficult to capture conclusion because the speaker will clearly give the signal words for conclusion. He might use words conclusion, summarize, or make a summary, or in a conclusion, in a word. Those are something you should capture. So this is the end of our first section.